Once you have a profitable trading strategy, you then need to learn how to manage fear and greed in your psychology while trading. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to achieve consistent profitability. You're going to find yourself over trading, revenge trading. You're going to find yourself freezing up at times out of fear. And you're going to find your trading is ridden by stress and anxiety. So it's the traders who learn how to master fear and greed in their trading psychology that have self-governance and self-control, and they can consistently execute on their trading plans. They can scale up with prop firms, they can get payouts, and they can consistently get paid by the markets. So what I wanted to do in today's masterclass is share a comprehensive overview of fear and greed, share with you how fear and greed manifest in your trading, and more importantly, give you highly actionable tools that you can implement into your trading right now to manage fear and greed and to help with your trading bottom line. So without further ado, let's get into this masterclass on fear and greed. Now, fear in your trading, how does it manifest in your trading? Well, you're going to find yourself having fear of loss, and you might find yourself just before you take a trade, there may be a trade that aligns with your trading plan, but because you took some losses previously, you've got this fear of losing again, and you freeze up and you don't take a trade that's part of your plan. Or you may be in a trade, maybe you're looking, you're in a long trade, and out of fear of taking a loss, you sell too soon, and then price goes and hits your take profit. Or like I've just mentioned, you might avoid trading quality positions out of this fear of missing out, this fear of loss. You can also have a fear of missing out, FOMO. And what you might find yourself doing is, because you don't want to miss out on these ideas you've created in your mind about what you think the market's going to give you, you chase trades, you overtrade, you go away from your trading plan. And these are all issues that are going to affect your ability to get funded, to trade the funding profitable, to hold on to that funding, to get payouts, etc., etc. And you can also have fear of being wrong. And this could lead to a lack of confidence, a lack of self-worth, a lack of belief in your own abilities, second guessing. These are all issues that impact your ability to stick to your trading plan. You see, once you have a trading plan and a trading strategy, then what you need to do is you need to manage fear and greed, because those are the two things that are ultimately going to take you away from your trading plan and your strategy. You need to learn how to manage fear and greed, like I'm going to show you in this video, and then consistently execute on your trading plan. And depending on how you trade, you can also have this fear of market volatility, and you may approach your trading or your investing with this excessive caution that means you don't trade and you stay out of trades, or you just have this lingering underlying stress and anxiety, and you struggle to sleep, you struggle to have any level of a good mood to your day-to-day life, and that impacts other areas of life. So if you're having fear in your trading, it's not only going to affect your trading bottom line, but it's going to seep into your personal life, into your health, into your relationships, and it's going to have an impact there also. So it's a very important thing to be able to manage. Now, greed in your trading, how does it manifest? Well, greed can manifest in a sense of overconfidence. And what tends to happen when you take a few wins, you puff yourself up, you get overconfident, and then you start to force ideas onto the market because you're minimizing and ignoring the risks in the market. You're ignoring your own risk management rules. Or you may hold on to a trade that you shouldn't be in, and you continue to have confirmation bias and this superiority complex where you think you can predict what's going to happen next. And your ego just won't let you let go of that trade that's obviously a loser. I know I've definitely been in that situation, aiming for unrealistic targets and gains. And you may be inundated by marketing in the trading industry saying that you can make a certain dollar amount every single day, and you have these unrealistic expectations about what the market can give you. The market doesn't work day to day or week to week or month to month even. The market just moves, and if you align with the market, you take a trade. So there's not really a time horizon we can impose on the market. And this could lead to over leveraging, and it could lead to ignoring your take profit levels that you've outlined in your plan. And because of this overconfidence, because of this greed, you want more. And I see this constantly with traders. Greed can also manifest through impatience, over trading, revenge trading, okay? And most importantly, greed can manifest in deviating from your trading plan because of a lot of these other components. And again, once you have a trading strategy, once you have an edge, your job as a trader is to stick to it. And if you have fear and greed running in your psychology, you're not going to be able to stick to it. Okay? So what I want to do is bring up the iPad and elaborate on fear and greed a little bit more. show you where specifically it comes from in the psychology and what tools you can implement to manage fear and greed. Okay, now, firstly, a little bit of a myth that I want to break is that there's no such thing as the fear of the unknown or greed of the unknown. The psychology isn't random. The psychology is hyper-specific. It's just that some people don't have the awareness of what's going on in their mind. So they say, I don't know, and it's unknown. I have a fear of the unknown. But I can guarantee you that's not true. When you have a fear, there's no such thing as the fear of the unknown. You have the fear over the specific content in your mind at the time of having the fear. And there's a specific story or a specific content in your mind that you're fearing. And when you have a greed, you have a greed over the specific content in your mind at the time of having the greed. And it's as simple as that. So what I want to do is just demonstrate fear and greed. And I'm drawing here a Cartesian plane, which is your mind. This is the Cartesian plane of your mind. And you have a positive, you have a negative component, and then you have a future component, which is your imagination. And you have a past component, which is your memory. And really, the past and future don't exist. They're constructs of your memory and imagination. All we have is the present moment, which is center point here. Okay? Now, a fear is the perception that sometime in the future, you're going to have something that's more negative than positive happening to you. This is a fear. Now, your mind works in terms of a mirror. The past mirrors forward into the future. So this component here is a mirror. So the moment you have a fear, that is a mirrored resentment of the past. A resentment is the perception that in the past you had something that was more negative than positive happen to you, more challenge than benefit, more challenge than support, more loss than gain. And what can happen in a trader's mind is that they can accumulate a lot of these different resentments over previous losses in trading or in non-trading related tasks. And this can cluster together to a major resentment where now you have this fear of losing, this aversion from losing, this pain associated with losing. And that's going to mirror forward into future fears of all these things happening again. Okay? And the brain works based on association. So the content may be, slightly different. It may be in a slightly different context, but the fear is due to this resentment in the past, or is mirrored from this resentment in the past. Okay? Now, we also have this on the positive side. We have the perception that at some time in the future, I'm going to have this very positive thing happen to me. And this is what we call a greed. A greed is the perception that something more positive than negative is going to happen in the future. Now, I also use greed interchangeably with the word fantasy and with the word unrealistic expectations. Okay? This is going to be important when we elaborate on this a little bit more. Now, your greeds are mirrored by your past infatuations. Whenever you have experiences in the past that you perceive as more pleasurable than painful, and these may be wins in the past, perceived wins where you've associated pleasure to those wins, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a fantasy or a greed of this happening again. This pleasure, I want that pleasure again. And that's going to have that mirroring effect also. Now, you can't separate greed and fear in the trader's mind. And it's very simple to prove, but let's talk about the theory first. So just as you have a mirror from the past to the future, you have also what is referred to as a conscious and unconscious component to your psychology when we talk about the positive and negative. When you're conscious of the fear in the future, the C, you're unconscious of the greed. And when you're conscious of the greed in the future, you're unconscious of the fear. Right? Both are there. You're just seeing one. You're aware of one. You're unaware of the other. It's very simple to prove. And the way you prove this is, let's say you're taking a trade and you're a trader here looking at your computer, and this is the market, the computer, and you're watching the computer, and in your mind, you've just created an idea, an expectation, a greed over what you think the market's going to give you in that moment. You've created this idea that's going to give you a prop firm, funded account, you're going to pass your challenge, you're going to get a little payout on that as well, a certain dollar amount, you're going to be able to post that in your community to get recognition, you're going to be able to share your girlfriend or boyfriend and get some kudos from them. And you're creating all these ideas, all these greeds in your mind, and then you're imposing those onto the market. Now, the moment you create the greed in your mind, this pleasurable idea of what you want, you simultaneously create the fear of losing those things. So you now have a fear of losing those things, and you have a fear of missing out. So the greed and the fear are inseparable. They come together as a pair. The moment you create a greed, you simultaneously create a fear. And the moment you create a fear, I don't want this loss, I don't want this pain, I don't want to lose this funded account, you simultaneously create the greed of wanting its opposite. So in the psychology, you cannot separate the positive and the negative. They come together. You may be aware of one and unaware of the other. You may be conscious of one and unconscious of the other, but both are present. So as a trader, let's talk about how this is practically applied as a trader. Now, we touched on it before here, but one of the most important components to managing both fear and greed, because they come together, is identifying and grounding the unrealistic expectations you're imposing on the market. Okay? So let's talk about practical application to this. How can we practically apply these concepts to help you make more money as a trader? Well, firstly, as a trader, you need to have a profitable edge. If you're coming to the market and just trading willy-nilly based on what you think is going to happen, you've got no data to prove that what you're doing is going to be profitable. You're gambling. So firstly, you need to have an edge that's been proven based on back-tested data to be profitable over a large sample space, let's say 12 months. You want to take that edge and you want to put it into a mechanical trading plan. That mechanical trading plan outlines how you enter into the market, how you manage your position, how you exit out the market, how you risk manage. And then what you're doing is you're coming to the present day market and you're executing based on that trading plan in the market to approximate that edge you've created over here. So it's the consistent execution of your edge based on your trading plan that yields you consistent profitability. That's step number one. Now, if you don't already have that step, I've got my 6-figure trading plan template in the link in the description. Download that and fill in that template to ensure that you have each component that's necessary to be a successful trader. Then, number 2 is then managing the fear and greed. And we talked about just before, the most important component in doing that is identifying the expectations, the greeds that you're creating in your mind at the time. So step number 2, I'm going to elaborate on the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, which is also another free tool in the link in the description. I'm going to elaborate on the tool here, but download the tool and use the tool because that will guide you through this exact process I'm running through here. So the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool is going to help you, firstly, identify what you're expecting in that moment. What you're expecting from the markets in that moment. And these, by the way, will be all the greeds and all the fantasies and all the infatuations in your mind. So you want to identify and write all those things down before you take a trade. So the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool is used prior to taking a trade. In fact, just before you take a trade. The moment you place in the trade, what's in your mind at that time, you want to identify and write down all the greeds, all the fantasies, all the things you think the market's going to give you. Maybe you have this idea that the market's going to go up to a certain price, and that's going to make you Y amount of dollars. And that's also going to get you a funded challenge. You're going to pass your funded challenge. And that's going to also get you some recognition from family and friends. Okay? And these are all the expectations and greeds that you have in your mind at taking that trade. Now, nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next in the market. Nobody can predict the outcome of the next trade. There are too many factors in the financial markets and in politics and in society impacting price for any individual to be able to predict exactly what's going to happen next. So if you're creating all these ideas in your mind about what you want from the trade and you think it's going to go here, and then you're forcing those ideas onto the trade, think about how foolish that is. You're just convincing yourself that price is going to go there even though you can't predict price is going to go there. And then the reasoning behind why you take the trade is because you want to capture all these greeds and infatuations and fantasies you're imposing on the market. So what you're doing is you're pretty much blocking yourself out from communication with the real market. You're no longer listening to what the market's communicating to you, and you're just caught up in your own head wanting to capture all these greeds and all these fantasies. Okay, this is what many traders do. That's why most traders are run by fear and greed. So the next step here is you need to ground these unrealistic expectations. And you need to remind yourself of the uncertainty of the outcome of the next trade. And you need to humble yourself and remind yourself that you have no idea what's going to happen next. Nobody can predict what's going to happen next. Not you, not me. There are just too many factors playing on price for any one individual to predict the outcome of that individual trade. You can have a good idea over a larger sample space based on your edge, but you can't predict the outcome of that individual trade. So you want to ground these unrealistic expectations, remind yourself of how silly you are to impose these onto the market, humble yourself, and then finally you want to ask yourself, does this trade really align with my trading plan or not? If it does, you want to take the trade, but you want to make sure you've grounded these unrealistic expectations. If it doesn't, you don't want to take the trade, and you want to be aware that these unrealistic expectations don't drive you into taking the trade. And it's just like building up a muscle in the gym. You're going to start, you're going to have the self-awareness, but you're still going to take trades that aren't part of your plan. And over time, you're going to build that muscle of self-control to have the discipline to manage the fear and greed so that you stick to your trading plan and you adhere to your trading plan. Okay? And that's really the process of the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. Now, you go into that trade, and you go into that trade with a thought process that I don't care about the outcome. Win or loss, I don't care about the outcome of this individual trade. What I've done is I've stuck to my trading plan, my trading processes. I know if I do this over a large sample space, 100 to 1,000 trades, I'm going to end up profitable over the larger sample space. I can't predict the outcome of this individual trade, but I can have a good idea of what the outcome is going to be over a large sample space. And what you do is you detach from the individual outcome and you focus on the collective process, on the larger sample space. You stop thinking small, you think bigger, larger sample space. This tool is going to help you implement that. Now, you can also add in here a visualization process of where you actually visualize your trade hitting both your stop loss and your take profit. And in both cases, this is before you trade, in both cases being unencumbered by the outcome and just being poised and not being influenced by that. And reminding yourself that, all right, hits my stop loss, cool, I took a trade that was in alignment with my trading plan. This individual trade wasn't profitable. It was just making up for previous wins. It's making up for future wins. Or it hits your take profit, cool, I just stuck to my trading plan. This individual trade was a win, but it's making up for previous losses or future losses. To keep yourself humble, grounded. And this is going to help you manage the fear and greed because you no longer have the expectations, therefore you no longer have the greed, therefore you no longer have the fear. And your emotions are in a large part determined based on the anchor and the expectation you had before the trade. So if you don't have an expectation on the outcome, you're not going to be disappointed either way. You prepared for both outcomes, so you're not disappointed either way. Okay? And then what else you can do is after that trade, you want to remind yourself of the principles. And if you feel yourself a little bit puffed up in a state of pride, in a state of greed, or in a state of shame, in a state of fear, you can just humble yourself a little bit, remind yourself of some of your faults and some of the things you've overlooked, and get yourself back to this state of more of an equilibrium state, because this is more process-based. This is all outcome-based. Or if you're beating yourself up in a state of shame and fear, remind yourself of some of the good qualities you have and some of the great things you've done to bring yourself back up to this state of equilibrium. Because when you're in that state of equilibrium, you're most process-based and you're sticking to your trading plan. Okay? Now, these future fears and these future greeds, fantasies, come from the past infatuations and resentments. So in the 12-week program, I spent a lot of time with my students helping them actually go in there, identify what these infatuations and resentments are, identifying them and grounding them. And when we address these infatuations and resentments in the past through good questioning processes and expanding their awareness in those particular situations, then what happens is that they have less fears in the future, and they have less greeds and fantasies in the future, and they just stick to their trading plan. They build consistent profitability, they scale with funding, and they do very, very well. Okay, so keep that in mind. But there are two great free tools in the description: the trading plan tool and the bulletproof your mindset tool, to help you manage your fear and greed and to help you build consistent profitability. If you want the next level to that, check out the 12-week program also. All right, traders. Now, in summary, let's summarize a little bit of this. Do this. These are strategies to overcome fear and greed. Firstly, make sure you have a solid trading plan. If you don't already, use the 6-figure trading plan template, link in the description. Then, have good risk management in that trading plan. If you're trading too much risk, the fear and greed are going to be exaggerated. So keep your risk to a maximum of 1% per trade. You could even start to scale that down a little bit, and until you develop complete certainty in your trading plan, then scale it back up to 1%. But if you're having an enormous amount of fear and greed and you have the mindset tools in there, try minimizing your risk a little bit, lowering your risk a little bit, and see what type of effect that has. Implement the mindset tools I've covered today. And the last little thing here is keep a trading journal. I find that some of my best traders, 7-figure traders, what they do is they have a trading journal and they're reviewing this every month, every 3 months. And what they're doing is they're finding patterns in their own behavior. And with this information, they can then make data-driven decisions to make refinements to their trading plan, and to their own behavior as a trader. If you found this useful, make sure you share it with your trading friends and your trading communities. Chuck it a like, chuck a comment. This helps with the algorithm to get these videos out there. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching to the end, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.